microphone up. There we go. All right, cool. So since you sent me the link, I mean, are you gonna quarterback this thing or what we gonna do?
Oh, I don't care. I'm a radio professional, so I can quarterback anything at any time. I'm just here trying to trade down. Did you enjoy my 73 mock drafts during the Cowboy game?
Hell no, because it made too much sense. Like whenever something bad happened, you just drafted 7 of that thing, and when you drafted, so when Woods was terrible and he was terrible a lot, and you just drafted 7 safeties, I could have hated on you. I could have, but I was like, fam, special teams going to be straight for 5 years if we do this. If we do that, if we just draft 7 safeties, ball game, player. Come on, son.
Oh, kickoff team is going to be disgusting.
Come on,
we are going to get down there on kickoff. So I guess, you know what? Let's start here because Aikman during the game, when he was talking about like how far away the Cowboys are, I thought that was really interesting because like there's so many different ways to take it. And one is like, well, are they that far away when they get Tyron and Lyle and Dak, or are they that? And let's start there with kind of the draft stuff where it's like their needs are, like what I was going to do this on the radio today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow.
Cool.
But how many guys on the Cowboys defense that are going to be starting next year are on the team right now?
Let me just say this about Troy, right? I think there's a certain pressure that comes with telling the people what they want to hear. You know what I mean? Guys like Dan Orlovsky kind of going through that. You know what I mean? To where he's in this national presence now. When he was more of a, and I can say this, I'm a YouTube dude. I don't care. I'm the whatever. So when he was like regular dude, just Twitter opinion dude, he said some very interesting things. I'm like, yo, Dan, I appreciate your perspective, your former player perspective. But it seems like when he went to the network, he just started contriving stuff, right? He just started caping for Wentz a little bit. I don't know if it's because of the whatever, but I think Troy does a lot of that because he knows that whenever there's Cowboy opinion, whenever there's Cowboy discourse going on, like you can get a rise out of that. So I'm listening to Troy with the same ears that I listen to a lot of Cowboy fans that I call goofy, and y'all act like Ford not hurt. Y'all act like 7-7 ain't hurt. You act like when Ford was playing, he was doing this with the worst offensive line and the worst defense I've ever seen in my life. So next year, the whole line ain't going to be
losing.
They were losing, yes, but we were losing like 38-31.
Right.
We were losing, you know what I'm saying, like 40 to something. There were no blowouts when Dak was, I mean, like what, the Browns or something, but we caught up in that game. My whole thing is, when this offensive line comes back, even if Tyron is hurt, I can live with Brandon Knight, Connor Williams, Biotis, Zach, and Lyle. I can live with that. I can't live with the whole line being bad. So I'm fine on offense. As far as defense goes, we have the worst defense I've ever seen in my life, and I love the little graphic when they had Jalen standing up with all 32s next to. They didn't have to do them like that. But I feel like if we simply go from 32nd and everything to 22nd and everything, I think we'll be fine. So to answer your question, how far away, from being okay are we? Like, what all do we have to look at in the draft? I think we're a couple of D linemen, a safety, and a corner, like, away from being relatively cool. And we got 1,000 draft picks to figure that out.
Yeah, and still, though, what I wonder about is what's realistic, right? Like last year's draft, I think we're going to look back at last year's draft and say that was a damn good draft. Because I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be a superstar. Mm-hmm. I think Biotis is going to be a solid starting center.
Right.
I think Diggs will turn into a decent to good starting corner.
Sure.
So, like, I think you got – and Neville Gallimore will probably be a rotational defensive tackle. So, like, I think that'll turn out good. But when we're looking at this team, just for fun, Xavier Woods is gone, free agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cheeto's gone. Jordan Lewis is gone. And maybe one of these guys or two of these guys come back on a bargain. I don't know.
Sure.
But gone. Sure. So, really, I think we're kind of building from Tank, Randy Gregory, Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen.
Here's my thing about Jalen and Vander Esch, right? I want to see if we had a better D-line, would they be better?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's my that's my big question with them. Because I don't need them to be Pro Bowlers. I just need them to not be terrible. And if my D-line just makes them not terrible, then that's a conversation we can have about keeping them. You see what I'm saying?
Right. And so, like, I wonder what's realistic to think. Oh, well, I picked a guy in the first round, in the second round, in the third round, and the fourth round, and like, we might pretend, oh, well, there's guys that I really like. Bam, that's 4 starters, but it won't really work that way. Like, you're not really going to have 3 or 4 dudes step in out of a rookie class on defense and play capable NFL football. So, we got to figure out, how does this board kind of set up? How does this draft set up? Which route is most likely to take? What do you want them to take? Because do they need corners? Yep, at least one. Safeties? Yep, at least one. D tackles? Yep, at least one. Would you like an edge? I would. Would you like a linebacker? I would. So that's why I'm trying to accumulate all the picks.
Well, see, Jeff, that's why the let's not have Dak draft the quarterback crowd makes no sense to me. Because you want to not bring back the best player on your team to get worse at that position and not help the rest of your team where it needs help at. You know what I mean? Like the most optimized situation is to just sign Dak, trade back, and get picks. And that's why that's why trading back is so important. Because I know that this team can draft, and I know that they can find starters in the first, let's say 70 or so picks. I would even say, depending on maybe we can find a third rounder that can start, right? If we had a first, 2 seconds, and a third, and you can make 4 solid starter guys, they ain't got to be great starter guys, but be what Diggs was to you this year. And Diggs is cool, but Diggs kind of lined up against Julio Jones, DK Metcalf, Nuke Hopkins, and he didn't die. We just couldn't stop the run. We got thrown on for the most part sometimes. But if we were better in other places, I know that some of those plays wouldn't happen. So Diggs is probably going to come back better next year. Tristan Hill is going to come back better. Neville Gallimore is going to lift those weights and eat those peanut butter sandwiches that they feed guys to make them bigger, the next year. And when
the Connor Williams program, that's what that's called.
That one right there. When those guys come back, then they're going to be a part of this thing. Gallimore is not ready now, but he'll be much better. And Tristan will be 3 years in. So give me a fat one tech. He ain't even got to be a best one tech in the league one tech. Just give me a one tech that won't get moved. He ain't got a pass rush. We'll put somebody else to pass rush from the one tech spot, Give me a corner to play opposite of Diggs. Give me a safety that's not as bad as Darian Thompson. You can't. It's hard to get a guy in the second round and he not be better than Darian Thompson, or he just not be better than what you getting from Xavier Woods. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And here's Derek. He said the problem is DeMarcus is unmovable at $20 million, so we need to run a 4-3 to make him most effective. And look, Mike Nolan can go. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
This is, even though it's not technically family, that this is NFL nepotism, and this is the way it goes. Once upon a time, Mike Nolan hired Mike McCarthy. Now Mike McCarthy hired Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan shouldn't be here. They should have somebody else here, because you don't have a $20 million 4-3 dominant defensive end and try to pretend you're going to run different stuff. That's stupid.
Yeah.
So when we are looking at fixing this defense,
yes, sir.
Who have we watched this week? You got any new guys that you like? Because I actually found a new guy that I kind of like. I'm going to do a lot of corners and safeties. That's what I'm going to try to do this week and next week, and try to get up on the secondary guys, maybe another linebacker or two.
Sure.
But I've been going through some of the opt-out guys and some of the edges, and I found an edge I like. I found a new edge I like.
So next week will be cornerback safety week, so everybody tune into that. So here's my thing, right? Before we get into that, let me ask you this. As draft dude Jeff, how are you evaluating this team? Okay, so look, watch this, right? The Georgia pass rush kid, right? If we're drafting dudes like him, then we're not drafting dudes like Carlos Basham. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair. Because, so the guy you're talking about is the guy that I watched and that I actually really like. His name is Azeez Ojulari, and he's an edge dude. He's an edge dude for Georgia, and he puts his hand down and he stands up.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets wild, because I have the heights and weights on guys that are whatever they were in the spring, according to their school, right? So Ojulari is 6'3", 241 is what they say.
Sure.
But
that means he's 230, 220 or so, right?
Well, no. See, I don't think he's lighter than that.
Okay.
And he plays heavier than that.
He plays strong. Yes.
Like, he's a dude. Here's a quick thumbnail of Ojulari. he's got the long arms. He's got the kind of turn the corner athleticism, but he's got surprising strength for a 6'3", 240-something pound frame.
Sure.
Like, I'm studying him against Alabama, and every time they'll try to pull a guard on him to clear him out, and that guard gets stonewalled. Yep. And sometimes that guard gets stonewalled, and then he pulls himself free to tackle the running back inside. Like, he's one of the guys, we're looking at all these guys that are the pass rushers, whether it's Kwity Paye, Gregory Rousseau, who you're 100% right on. I'm going to put Rousseau. I think I'm going to end up putting him in like the third round. Like 100% developmental guy,
just
not a good player.
Just third?
I think I'll put him in the third. I don't think I'll go lower than third because I understand the traits that people like. Like, there's some athleticism. There's production at a big school, which I don't really care about the production because I've watched how it happened and it's all crap. But I think you could develop him into that might be too high for a third though. Cause I'm talking about maybe he develops into a good 3 technique.
I'm taking that dude with the first pick of the 4th round.
And that might be about right too. Sure. Yeah. Somewhere around there. Put him in the hurt round and the criminal round.
But Jeff, that's us making sense though. People in the league can't draft. So the Falcons might end up drafting a dude at like whatever they end up like at 10th or something, wherever they end up drafting. You see what I'm saying? Like we need teams.
But there's 2 things to that, right? One is that the league will take people in the wrong spot. That's 100% true because coaches are arrogant and they think that they can take whatever a dude did once and I can make him do it all the time because I'm amazing. And they're wrong.
Right.
But what was the other side of that? Coaches are arrogant and they think they can do anything.
GMs can't sell.
And the other part is, and I think people need to be aware of this when it comes to the draft stuff. A lot of people's rankings are going to look similar because a lot of people just copy other people.
Oh, I like that's the kind of shit. I hate PC stuff, Jeff. I hate PC stuff. I hate correct stuff. I'm a YouTube guy. I care nothing about none of these people. They looked at some other mock draft and they said, "Oh, he got Russo top 5. That means I should put Russo top 5. I ain't watched no film, but I'm a media dude and I gotta have a story done by noon. Let me put Russo top 5 on his mock draft." It's a lot of that going on, and fans follow that stuff, and we gotta correct them.
Yes, because then you're going to have people who are going to tell you when you're talking about a guy and you say, I think Rousseau's a 3rd round guy. And people are going to be like, shoot, he's getting picked in the top 10. Well, I'll tell you this right now. The world's going to catch up. And by the time we get to the draft, you will not be seeing mock drafts with him in the top 10.
Sure.
Might somebody take him somewhere in the 20s, 30s, 40s? Maybe. And it'll probably be a bad pick. But so people are going to get some bad information because people want to fit in with what other experts are saying. Like my guy is Dane Brugler because I know he does the work. He talks to people at every single college, every single NFL team. He watches the tape of every single player. Like he does his stuff. And so even him, I'll keep in mind, I know that he'll be somewhat influenced by what he hears from schools or what he hears from NFL scouts. And so like, just let that be a lesson to you. Do your own stuff. If you have access to it, in some positions you can watch on TV copy and you can be fine. You know what football is. You know how to watch football, people. So you can figure this stuff out. Don't use anybody else's stuff. Don't use my stuff as gospel. Don't use Voch's stuff as gospel. You're an adult. You can figure out kind of what these players are. But I think that's what the pass rusher class is going to be. Like Ojulari, he's actually my top edge right now.
Like edge, like
top guy.
He's edge 1 right now.
He's edge 1 right now because I think he has a physical attribute that Kwity Paye is missing.
Length.
Which is the length.
Yeah.
And now Kwity Paye, again, if he goes and runs a 6'3" 3-cone like they're talking about, I'll probably flip him back because that's unreal bend. And if you can't turn that into a pass rusher, you're a bad coach. But yeah, I think he's a really well-rounded player. And I guess to your point, if you're running a true 4-3, maybe they will look at a 241, 245, get him up to 250, and they'll say he's not big enough. But I like it's what I said about TJ Watt. And Ojulari plays hand up and hand down. It's what I said about TJ Watt. I don't care if you're 245 or 250. Do they move you?
Sure.
Or can you stay put? Sure. And so I think, to me, an edge is an edge, and I don't really care what defense you run unless you're legitimately going to be asking guys to drop a bunch. And
he drops nicely too.
Do what?
He drops nicely. Georgia kid. I can't say his name right now, but he drops back in coverage and he looks safe in coverage. Like he doesn't look like he's lost in coverage. Like sometimes they'll drop my Texas guy, I forgot his name, but they'll drop him in coverage and he looks like, okay, I can run, but I'm kind of lost in coverage. I don't really know what I'm doing. But Ojulari looks like, yo, fam, watch me get to the flats. Smooth.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So he's got some of the athleticism you want in a pass rusher. He's got some of the juice as a rusher. He's got the ability to not get bullied by offensive linemen. Like, I think there's a lot to like. Sure. And maybe part of it is I'm getting to watch him play in 2020 because some of the guys you don't get to see in 2020. And I'm like, okay, I know what this guy is today. Yeah. I'm not projecting.
So with that said, though, right, if you're the Cowboys, right, so watch this. You're the Cowboys and we trade back and we're not forced to draft best player available because we stuck at 4, because we stuck at 5. Say we at 15 somewhere and we're in the middle and we could just, like there are options. What position is most important to you right there?
At 15, if I could get one of the first 2 or 3 corners off the board,
sure,
I think 15 will be a good spot for it. And I think 15 will be a good spot for pass rush. And then what we're going to kind of run into, I think, is they absolutely need a fat boy at D tackle, but you're not doing that there. No. And they absolutely need a safety, but you're not doing that there.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just more reasons to trade down because give me an extra 2 to where we can talk about, hey, you want to take a fat boy in the second? Okay, if it's the right guy.
Yeah.
You want to take a safety early, mid-second? Perfect. But there in that first round, I think it's going to be the spot for corner or edge rusher, which is great because they're the valuable positions. Yeah. And I think you'll be sitting there going, okay, I'm choosing between Ojulari, Pay, Horn, Farley or Surtain might be there. Because that's another thing. Like people are going to be like, no, Farley and Surtain are both going top 10. We don't effing know that.
Yeah.
We don't know that. We don't. So don't. Like the only thing I'm not doing when I was doing the mock drafts is like I was in the middle of the second round and people were like, take Rashawn Slater. And I was like, I hate being the guy who says he won't be there, but he won't be there. So
Segway Jones, let's do this. Segway Jones, watch this. Okay, so we had this conversation last week, right? We was like, oh boy, Penei Sewell, we can't trade back and we at 4 and he's on the board. We take Penei Sewell. So I kind of just was, I just had miscellaneous thoughts about Rashawn Slater because I just heard what I heard about Rashawn Slater. So people was asking me, is he like a trade back candidate? I'm like, sure, you can get Rashawn Slater at 15 or something, sure, whatever. Then I watched film on Rashawn Slater. I just watched him.
Northwestern. He's the Northwestern left tackle, and I bet there are going to be teams that have him above Sewell.
I watched that dude pick on Chase Young. Like Chase Young got like one really good play, but this was the thing about Rashawn Slater that Penei Sewell cannot touch him. Rashawn Slater does not miss with his hands. Let me just explain to y'all how important not missing with your hands is. Lael Collins was bad for 2 years because he kept missing with his hands. He cool now. But when you watch Rashawn Slater, watch him. Watch where he put his hands. Watch the timing. Watch how he does that Tyron Smith, I'm a left hand you, punch with my right, control you deal. Now you're on the ground. You don't know how you got there type of deal. Chase Young is a guy that's been whooping people for years because he's just been better than people. But I wouldn't call Chase Young like a technical savvy guy to know how to deal with that. Rashawn Slater had the technical edge on Chase Young, and Chase Young was like, oh my God, I'm useless. I am useless right now. And then they'll rotate him out. Then 33 will come out there and get whooped. 18 will come out there and get whooped. And say, put Chase back on Slater, thinking Chase was going to do something to Slater. And Slater will come right back and put one hand on Chase Young and technique him to death. Now, there are going to be some teams that look at Penei's physical and go, I can take Penei's, my bad.
Oh no, I'm doing this is my Rashawn Slater short arm.
Yeah.
Short arms.
So listen, and look, that's another point, right? I hate when people be like, "Oh, offensive line arm length is overrated." It's not overrated because you for every Rashawn Slater, it's like 6 other offensive linemen that ain't good because their arms are short. Rashawn Slater got short arms. I'm not putting that dude at guard. That dude is 100% a tackle. He got short arms, but he can overcome that because he don't miss with his hands. And you can see Chase Young kind of long arm him a little bit, and Slater will end up like this. Because he doesn't have the arm length but if my hand is clamped on your shoulder and this one is in your shoulder pad and you can't get rid of me, there's nothing your long arms can do. Rashawn Slater's impressive. There's going to be a team, Jeff, that's going to take that high-ass floor opposed to Sewell's high ceiling. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Somebody's going to love that high floor, and somebody's going to play that dude day one, and they're going to be just fine with Slater. I promise you, bro.
And I think here's the good thing, I think, if and I think Sewell will probably go first because of what you're saying, the physical traits. I bet Sewell's going to have 35-inch arms, and Slater's going to have 31 3/4 or whatever. Yeah. So one is going to be a, quote, short arm. And they'll probably be longer than that. I bet Slater will meet what NFL teams consider their minimum threshold for tackles, but probably just barely. And so that's going to lead to some people talking about guard, and some teams might be interested in moving him to guard. Mm-hmm. But I think the good thing about the two top offensive tackles in this class is I promise you, just based on the way they play, if they were Cowboys and if Tyron was healthy, I'll play either one of them at left guard, and they'll be awesome.
Sure.
Either one of them.
Now,
because you're talking about the power, you're talking about with Slater, the technicality, you're talking about their ability at the second level or as pullers, they're athletic guys. Mm-hmm. Both of these guys could play either spot if you need them to. But, and both of them give you the future at left tackle if you need it. So it's a good offensive tackle class with the top two.
Yep.
And when we see more, I bet you it's just going to be a good offensive tackle class.
So I do see Sewell being the better guard, though, because I just like Sewell better in the phone booth. I just like him wrestling a little more than
He's
Slater.
Nasty, too.
He's nasty, right. It's just that Slater is so technically impressive. Like, Slater's so good, I would consider putting him at right tackle and just putting Lael back at guard. Like, he's that technically sound. I don't want to put him at guard. I just want to put that dude where he's good at. That's how I feel about him. You see what I'm saying? But, the Cowboys don't do things that make sense or anything like that. You haven't watched the rest of the tackles or whatever. I have. And you're right. It's a bunch of guys that aren't as good as Slater and Sewell. But the league needs offensive line so bad that they will be overdrafted. I don't think that they're top 10 guys, but I think that there's some of those, Andre Dillard guys where you could take them at like 19 and feel good. So Sam Cosme, the guy from Texas, that's Leatherwood from Bama. I haven't saw the Notre Dame kid. Apparently he's good too. But fam, Rashawn Slater just blew my little socks off watching him. So you're gonna have to bring some noise to be better than him, player.
Now, if you're first pick. Mm-hmm. If the Cowboys' first pick in the draft is an offensive lineman, are you okay with that?
I'd be sick because my defense is so bad. But if it's truly BPA, I can't hate on it. I can't hate it because at some point Tyron Smith gonna wake up with a headache. He's not gonna want to play no more, and we'll be fine. We won't be in an emergency situation.
Yeah, I just end up where I think yes, I have the same answer. Where it's like yes, if you tell me this is the best player, I'd be like okay, and then I'd look around and I'd be like okay. The best player thing for the rest of this draft is gone. Yeah. We are not picking another offensive player.
We got to go defense. We got to get nothing but look. I think best player available only matters if it's like super egregious, though. You see what I'm saying? Because for the most part, it's best player available at the spot that we kind of need, as long as it's not egregious. That's a long title. I get it. But we didn't need receiver. But CeeDee Lamb at 17 was egregious. You got to get that dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if it's like. If the tags are touching, like you like to say, then get the dude that you need,
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because like all of these things lead me back to the same damn thing. And I'm gonna have T-shirts. They're gonna be in the mail here in the next couple of days. I'm gonna have the Captain Trade Down T-shirt that I'll be rocking here pretty soon.
Okay.
Because I swear it's what I come back to every time.
Sure.
Where if somebody asked me what I asked you, like, hey, if they took an offensive tackle with their first pick, are you okay? And I'm like, I'll be super okay if they had already traded down. Yeah, because now I still got my picks for my corner and my safety and my D tackle. I need to find a way in the first 3 rounds. Like right now in the first 3 rounds, they'll pick in the first, the second, the third, and a comp third. Right now they got 4. Mm-hmm. I want 5 or 6.
Yeah.
In the first 3 rounds.
Yeah. Why can't the best player just simply be somebody that I need? Like this the 1 year where it's like offensive tackles, quarterbacks, receivers. I'm like, damn, son.
It's sick, and we don't know what they're going to turn into, right?
Sure.
Maybe we'll look back in 3 or 4 years and be like, well, hot damn, so-and-so was Von Miller, so-and-so was. But when you just look at it today and you just evaluate them and you try your best to guess, God, if we were going to be picking in the top 5, I wish Myles Garrett was there.
Sure.
I wish Joey Bosa was there. I wish Jalen Ramsey was there. I know he's been getting cooked a little bit this year. I wish Jeff Okudah was there because as a prospect, I loved him. But they're not. And I'm like, dang, man, these super valuable positions that could really change your defense if you get a cornerstone dude, they're not there. They're just not there.
Let me ask you this, but let me ask my chat box a question also, just so I can see how much they know me, how much they love me, how long they've been here.
Right brick on my brick.
Right brick on my brick. So who's the best linebacker prospect you've ever watched? And to my chat box, who's my favorite linebacker prospect of all time? I just want to see what my people say. But Jeff, who's the best linebacker you've ever scouted coming out of college?
Okay, so this will be the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite was Myles Jack.
Myles Jack is the best linebacker I've ever seen coming out of college, Jeff Cavanaugh. He was my like if we had the first overall pick in that draft and we picked Myles Jack, I'd have been fine. I love that dude. Now, let me ask you this, Jeff. Is Micah Parsons as good as you felt do you feel as good about Parsons as you felt about Myles Jack?
Gosh, in a lot of ways they're similar.
Mm-hmm.
Because Myles Jack, it wasn't like he was lining up at Mike linebacker and just playing, Yep. He would line up all over the place. He was doing all sorts of different things. I think Myles Jack, if he had no medical red flags, which is what hurt him in the draft, I would have Jack above Parsons.
Sure.
I liked Jack as a prospect a little better than Parsons.
I think the big difference is Myles Jack didn't have problems diagnosing plays. That's the big deal that we at right now. Because when you think about Myles Jack, cold-ass will linebacker, he came down, he thumped offensive linemen, he lined up in the slot and started whooping kids in the slot. Myles Jack did everything. Pass rush. He even played a little bit of running back if you asked him to. I felt great about Myles Jack. When I think about Parsons, I go, yo, Parsons is a really good athlete. Parsons got some good size. Parsons can pass rush for real, for real. He's not just a miscellaneous pass rush. He can rush. But I think that you're going to run into some diagnosis issues, right? And I wouldn't have a problem with a linebacker with diagnosis issues, but I currently have 2 linebackers that got diagnosis issues. They don't read they don't read their keys at all. And look, and it's like I feel like somebody asked me this. Somebody asked me, well, Voch, why was Jalen so good in 2018 and not this year? I just think the league got more comfortable misdirecting the hell out of people. I just think a lot more teams do it now. And I think that's just Jalen's problem. He just has a problem with getting his life misdirected away. And I think Parsons is going to have those same kind of problems.
And I think the league also kind of caught up with the fact that if you can find a way to isolate Jalen Smith, he ain't covering your tight end or your running back or whatever mismatch you can create. You're going to put him in trouble if you put him in space.
Sure.
And the Cowboys have tried to avoid that by playing him forward more often. But, God, I think that's a great point. I hadn't really thought about that. But the league has gotten so into the pre-snap motion and the at-the-snap motion where they're giving you the eye candy like what got Leighton.
Sure.
On the Lamar Jackson touchdown run where he's running the wrong way for no reason. There's no way he was responsible for the front side A-gap and contain on the other side. There's no way. But you get ahead of yourself thinking you know what's happening and you're going to make some play and you end up in the wrong spot. And that's my thing with Parsons too. And he's young as a coverage guy. Yeah. So he's not real sure what he's doing. He's not real sure about the spacing. And, I freely admit if he ended up on the Cowboys, if you could just make it independent and I didn't have to think about, oh, where'd you pick guys? Hey, Micah Parsons is on the Cowboys. Do you like that? Hell yeah, I love it.
Sure.
This is going to be fun.
Sure.
If he fulfills his potential, he's going to the Hall of Fame. This is great. Yep. And you're like, all right, you took him with a top 5 pick. And I'm like, off-ball linebacker with diagnosis issues is not comfortable in coverage? What?
Yeah.
And he wants to be a Cowboy.
He wants to be a Cowboy. And I would love for him to be a Cowboy. It's just, where do I get you? I would love for a lot of people to come play for my team. It's just all about – I'm just trying to get the best value I could possibly get, fam. And if it comes down to I can either draft Micah Parsons or I can get a couple of picks and still draft Micah Parsons, sure, I would take Micah Parsons and some picks. Hell yeah, of course. 100%, Mr. Wolf. Because I think – and I could be wrong, but I think somebody in the Dallas Cowboys Illuminati is going to tap Jalen on the shoulder like, yo, fam, we got to get less money on your books, man. We gotta get less money on your books. I think somebody gonna tap Zeke on the shoulder as well and talk to him. You know, if you want to make fun of Carson Wentz later, we can absolutely add that into this show. But it's like once you get that money, not only does it come with expectations, but if you don't reach that expectation, then you gotta know that you're not reaching that, you know what I'm saying, that money mark. Jalen Smith has got to be laying in the bed at night going, yo, fam, I'm robbing these people. If they ask me for a pay cut, what do I say? What do I do? And I ain't asking nobody to take less money, but if Jalen's going to be realistic about this thing, we either going to replace you or you got to be a rotational dude, fam.
Jerry's still Jerry, though, and he loves him, so who knows? I mean, I wonder what they're going to do, because I have heard that the coaching staff or that the team, the organization is looking at that like, what are we going to do about this? Mm-hmm. Like, they know. And here's another thing that I want to do, and this is the draft in general. This is our guy, Pete. Pete loves him some Voch, and he loves him some Jeff. I love Pete. He said, I thought you guys didn't like him that much last week about Micah Parsons. And this is the thing for sports radio, for you, I'm sure. For the draft in general. Like, when you talk about how you don't want somebody in the top 5,
context,
it doesn't mean I don't like him.
Yep.
It doesn't mean I don't like him.
Yep. Micah
Parsons is a really good college football player, or was a really good college football player. He's an incredible prospect, and we'll see what he turns into. I would love to have him on my team. But there's certain things I'm trying to accomplish. There's certain positions I want. There's certain things I'm looking for in the top 5. And he has 2 of them that scare me off a little bit. The diagnosing, the coverage, and the position he plays for being in the top 5. Although I do think there's something to be said about positional value and what the league thinks about different positions, because they tell you, right, with how much they pay the top of each position, they tell you run stopping D tackles aren't worth crap, and most safeties aren't worth crap, and running backs aren't worth crap. They tell you all these things. Unless you're awful at those things. Like for the Cowboys, it's like, oh, we don't need a nose tackle because run defense isn't as important as pass defense. Right up until people can get 7 yards of carry. And then it doesn't matter how good you are at anything else, because they don't even have to throw the ball like Baltimore didn't have to. So I think teams got to be smarter about evaluating. Yes, we have these positional values that we believe in, but boy, if we are worthless at something, it's going to expose us. And that's happening to the Cowboys. I think it's safety and at defensive tackle.
My favorite player in this draft so far, just my favorite guy to watch, Marvin Wilson right now, the one tech from Florida State, right? Grown man in the middle. But I just know where the league is at with 330-pound dudes that can't run and pass rush. You know what I'm saying? Now, he's a very hustly guy. Like, he's not just slow and sloppy where he ain't just running. Like, he out there hustling, you know, good effort dude and all that. But he's 330, heavy as hell, and he's not pass rushing. That's second-round territory. I love the guy. But you can't take that dude. You can say, like, late first or something like that. But you can't take – like, Dexter Lawrence is a really good – one tick, and he went like 18th or something, 18th, 19th or something, and
17, I think.
17, right? And like, just because, like, yo, Voch, you think Dexter Lawrence a top 10 pick? I mean, he may be a top 10. He may or may. Whether you think a top 10 talent ain't the same as a top 10 pick. You see what I'm saying? Picks are just more so the dance that we do with these players. You could be a first-round talent in the second round. You can be a second-round talent in the first round. You know what I mean? It just depends on where you get these guys. And, you know, it's not that we dislike Micah Parsons. It's just that we're looking at value, how we can get the best bang for our buck, and where we getting them at. That's all.
What do you think? Now, in my mind, there's no such thing as getting stuck at a pick. I think you can always trade down with somebody. You just have to be willing to, quote, lose in the value that you traded down for and not care because you were doing what was best for your team. But if they were stuck at number 4, what names could you hear them pick and go, okay?
So, assuming at number 4, offensive line goes 3.
Yeah, I think so. Let's do it this way. No. You know what? Let's do it this way.
Say we lose Cincinnati.
Yeah, you lose the Sewell Bowl. You lose the Suck for Sewell contest, Tankathon 2020.
Yeah.
Let's say it's 3.
Yeah.
if the Cowboys stick and pick in the top 5, how many names do you go, okay?
They're dudes on offense. They're offensive
we
guys.
don't want to be there.
They're offensive
we
guys.
want out.
It's a terrible, terrible spot. Which is why right brick on my brick exists. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a premium spot for somebody else, not for us. You know what I mean? Like, it just depends on what you need necessarily. We think the top. So look, somebody's gonna hear us talk about this, right? And they're gonna hear Voch and Jeff say, "Yo, you don't want to be in the top 10 of the draft." They're gonna go, "Well, damn, I would like to be in the top 10 of the draft." But if you're the Eagles and you need offensive line / quarterback / receiver, you want to be anywhere up there. The Eagles can be anywhere in that top 10. They can get Jamar Chase, they can get Devontae Smith, they can get Slater, Sewell, any one of the quarterbacks. The Eagles will be fine. That just ain't our plight. Our plight is different. Our plight is we want to be in the teens somewhere. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. So you may be like a Jaguars fan listening to this show right now, or just a Ravens fan, Titans fan, whatever.
Patriots. You think the Patriots wouldn't like to pick at 6 and take Kyle Pitts?
The Patriots can use whatever help they can get, sir.
They'd love.
So yeah. So when y'all listen to us, I don't want y'all thinking that the guys at the top of this draft are bad. They just don't help the Cowboys necessarily with our plight. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, there's guys in the top 10 that I'm gonna give you one that got hurt, but that I was watching a little. I didn't even mean to be watching him. I was trying to watch the Georgia corner, Eric Stokes.
Okay.
Jamar Chase is really good. Mm-hmm. 2 years from now, we might look back and go, Jalen Waddle was the best receiver in that draft. Alabama, Jalen Waddle, number 17. Oh, my God.
So, Jeff, let's talk.
I don't think he can be covered one-on-one. I think he's like Tyreek Hill like that. I think he's too fast. He's too explosive. He's too quick. I don't think he can be covered by a corner in the NFL one-on-one. Maybe Ramsey, but I don't think you can. I think there's a chance that Jalen Waddle ends up being the best. So, like, there are a lot of offensive players that I'll take in the top 10. No problem. No problem. I'm just struggling with the defense.
Are you ready to say that Devontae Smith might be better than Jamar Chase?
He might be. And maybe that's a reason to, now each team's going to feel differently. Each guy who watches them is going to feel differently. So if you prefer a guy and you feel real good that he's going to be the guy, then you're going to want to sit there and pick that guy. But I'm kind of a guy where I'm almost not that arrogant in my evaluations when 3 guys are so different like that. But I also think that they're all really, 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 really good. Yeah. I'll take the second or third one of the group. You know, it's like we could snake draft this thing. You guys can take which receiver you want. I'll take the next one. Give me that next pick so I can decide what else I want, because it's going to be another super good wide receiver class. Devontae Smith, some people are going to try to pick him apart. And this is the other Alabama receiver.
Sure.
Because he's skinny, and I don't think he's going to run a 4.3. He might run a 4.5. But he's got football speed. He's got separation speed. He gets open and he catches everything. He's a monster like that.
Plus, in terms of what he's getting done, he's doing the same things that Jamar Chase did last year with Joe Burrow. To be fair, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just that he may not have the physical traits or whatever, but I like route runners. Like, I'm just a sucker for good route. I like all the Cowboys receivers because they all run routes. You know what I'm saying? Devontae Smith is a nuanced route runner today. And it ain't like he's slow. If you watch the last game that they just played versus LSU, like he burned people in the open field. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a burner. He's not Waddle. But you got to ask yourself, right? Because, look, this is something I always tell my audience, right? Most of your favorite receivers in the league run 4.5s. To be fair, you know what I'm saying? Like 4.5 ain't as sexy as a 4.3, but there are more. If you look at the top receivers, there are more 4.5 runners than 4.3 runners. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and maybe even borderline 4.6. I don't have the 40 times in front of me, but Devontae Adams don't fly. Keenan Allen doesn't fly. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't fly.
Michael Thomas.
You know, like Julio is a rare prospect. The 6'3", 215 pounds, and runs a 4.3. You don't get very many of those.
Right.
So you got to just pay attention to who's the best receiver.
Sure.
The Raiders. You think the Raiders right now wish they had a redo? It's like Al Davis is still alive because they took Henry Ruggs. Like, he wasn't a great route runner, and I liked Henry Ruggs as a prospect. But to take him over Jerry Jeudy and to take him over CeeDee Lamb, and as we're seeing, Justin Jefferson, careful.
But Jeff, somebody got to draft bad so we can draft good. So I'm not hating on her. Shouts out to him.
That's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt.
It ain't my team. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got
that is a T-shirt, and with a little picture of CeeDee Lamb.
Of course it is. But I mean, just bringing this all back, tying it to a bow. I mean, if I don't want to do nothing foolish, man. You know, at the top of the draft, if we can't get out, I fully foresee us being able to get out of that pick, because I just think the quarterback race is just going to happen so fast that teams just going to want to jump in there, and you know, teams are looking at us as one of those spots. They got to be looking at us. So I think we will be able to trade out. But if we don't, I don't want to overthink it, man. You know, the whole value thing sucks, but as long as we get a good player, if the value don't add up, I'm cool. So that may not be Parsons for you. That may be Farley for you. That may be it ain't Surtain for me. If we get Surtain at 3, I'm gonna be sick. But it just is what it is.
Just because he's not fast?
Because I think he's a situational matchup guy. And if I want a situational matchup guy, I can find a corner in the second round that could be a situational matchup guy. If I'm taking a corner that early, you either got to be shut down, dude, or you got to be, I feel good about you covering my number one receiver guy. I don't think that way about Surtain.
Yeah, and Farley could become that guy.
I think Parsons is a really good prospect. Parsons is a guy that can help you in the pass rush. He can help you in the run game. You know, you just got to have Sean Lee on the field with him, telling him where to go. If that's what you got to do.
Voch, you might have to hire Sean Lee as your D coordinator, because I don't know if I want him on the field anymore. I think I've seen enough this year. I think he's about done.
I've seen enough, but are you willing to sacrifice one spot so that the other 10 on defense can be great? Because if that's if that's the formula, I will be terrible at Sam linebacker as long as everybody else making tackles. I'll do it.
I think it's crazy in most scenarios when people talk about players as coaches, but I kind of think that Sean Lee knows these players. He knows their strengths. Yeah. He knows this organization. He can get along with the Joneses. I actually think that Sean Lee could defensive coordinate this team tomorrow.
My whole thing about that, though, right? I think Sean Lee will be a great play caller. I think Sean Lee will be a great, whatever you want to call him, right? Great line. He could, but his job is going to come down to teaching dudes how to tackle. That's not going to make Jalen make the right decisions. You know what I mean? Like right. that would require a transplant, like a brain transplant. Like if you can give me Sean Lee's brain and I ain't gonna say Jalen's body because Jalen's body ain't even, but like Van Der Esch's body or whatever. Cool, 100%. But Sean Lee being on the sideline with a clipboard doesn't mean that our linebackers read their keys better now. Like no, but yeah.
I think, and maybe this is just recency bias because Nolan's I've been watching terrible. Guys coached by Mike Nolan.
Yeah, Nolan's terrible. Yeah.
Like I want somebody who I think Monday through Friday is doing a better job preparing my guys to play.
Fair.
And I feel like he would do that. I feel like the guys who are film smart, and like Sean Lee is I don't know if you would want this for yourself or a family member, but I want this in my football players. Sean Lee doesn't do anything else.
Right.
Like other guys are whatever. You go out to dinner, you do. I feel like Sean Lee literally goes home and watches tape of himself in practice as soon as practice is over until he has tape from a game so he can watch the tape from the game to get ready for the next. Like he's a football cyborg. He just couldn't stay healthy. I want cyborgs. I want dudes I want film guys to try to coach my guys on how to prepare and how to be ready.
If there's any dude that can figure out getting your life misdirected away, it could be Sean Lee. He just doesn't have the physical to go along with that. That's the only problem.
Yeah. All right. Are there any other guys that you've seen that you want to talk about? Because I'm not going to lie to you. At any point from this point forward, I could hit end broadcast and go read my book and get under my blanket, open my back door so the dogs can get out and the cold air gets in and bundle up.
Nah, man. How long we been going? We've been
45 minutes.
That's a good show. That's a good show. You don't want to hit the hour mark. You good to go on that? Do you want to take?
I don't care. I don't care about numbers, Voch. I believe in leaving the people wanting more.
Yo, Jeff. Do you want to take some calls? Do you want to take some calls, Jeff Cavanaugh?
Wait, is that possible?
Yes, I have a setup on my system where we could take some calls.
Oh, you could take some calls, or you could take some comments, take some calls, whatever you want to do. Yeah, I'm cool with that. We can burn 15 minutes hearing from the people.
All right, cool. So, everybody that's on my side, y'all are familiar with how this works. I'm going to go to this screen right here. I'm frozen there. But the number's on the screen. Or if you on Jeff's side or whatever, the number to call in is 515-606-5187, access code 309-104. If y'all want to call into the show and you got a goofy little miscellaneous comment, we will take your comment. Let me mute Jeff real fast while I turn this on and I'll get back to it or whatnot. But wait, that's not muting Jeff. Jeff, give me 5 minutes. Talk to your people. Let me mute this. Talk to your people.
Top 10 or 15, and they're going to be incredibly happy with him for a decade.
Okay, we back. Now, let me just tell you.
Did you mute me?
I muted me. I don't know if I muted you, but I muted me.
Oh,
okay. So listen, everybody listening right now, y'all got one shot to get this right. If this goes terrible, me and Jeff will never do phones again.
Mom spaghetti.
Mom spaghetti, fam. Y'all got to get this right. If you want to call into the show, the number is 515-606-5187. It's going to ask you for an access code. At that point, you will type in 309104. Of course, the people that have called into my show before, they will get the first treatment because I know that y'all are not full of it or just trolling my phones or whatever. And after that, you know what I'm saying? We'll just do that for like 15 minutes or whatever. We'll just boogie like that. What was you talking about before I rudely cut you off?
Oh, I was just talking to the chat about things that were totally unrelated to anything that we were talking about. I'm good here.
Oh, well, fair enough. We got a call there. We got 240. I think I know this person. 240, what's happening? Who this? 240, what's happening? Who this? I can hear you moving. What's happening? Who this?
It's Keith.
What's up, Keith?
Yeah, I was calling. I had a question about the draft in regards to Dak's future.
Okay.
And actually for his draft, if we end up with a high pick and somewhere in that second or third round, well, Justin Fields become available, would they be interested in taking Justin Fields? And somehow
in the third round?
Get Dak.
In the third round, Justin Fields?
No, not third round, third pick.
Okay, with the third pick. All right.
Third pick in the first round.
Okay, cool. Appreciate you, Nick. Great call. If we at the third overall pick and Justin Fields is there, do you take him? I don't take Justin Fields at 3. I just keep Dak and trade back. What you got, Jeff?
Well, you would write brick on your brick at that point,
right,
and you would tell people to come get Justin Fields, and you would get some picks for it.
100%. Yes.
I wouldn't do it. I'm a Dak guy. I think Dak is you're going to say top 5. I will say undisputed top 8 quarterback in the league, maybe top 4 or 5.
Sure.
And I understand if you think it's a generational prospect, like if you think Trevor Lawrence is generational as a team and you're saying internally, I think this guy will literally be better than Dak. Then I'll talk to you about our cap savings and about what we can do with this. But if you're doing it because it's like, oh, he's a top 5 guy and he's a really good prospect and I think he could be good, then no, don't ever get worse at quarterback on purpose.
Yeah. Ever. And my whole angle on it is quarterback position is so weird and it's so hard to evaluate. And what we notice is every quarterback looks good their rookie campaign, sophomore campaign, but defenses always catch up. And what you need your player to do is to reinvent themselves after they've been caught up to. We know that Dak has been caught up to. That's what 2017-18 was. The league caught Dak Prescott, but he jumped his ass out of that box and he got better. Can Justin Fields do that? Can Trey Lance do that? Can Trevor Lawrence do that? We don't know. Maybe or maybe not. We know Dak can because we saw what he can do. Lamar Jackson has some problems now. Kyler Murray has had some problems the last couple of games or so. This thing happens. Can you imagine Carson Wentz going on this MVP campaign and now he looks terrible because teams catch up? You know what I'm saying? And I know Dak can overcome being caught up too, so I'm just going to keep that dude.
And I think Justin Fields, I actually think he has this year from last year. I think even in COVID year, I think there are clear things that he's improved in. Mm-hmm. And there's a chance when I study Justin Fields, I've watched 3 of their 5 games this year, mm-hmm. and I'm a big fan. I like Justin Fields a lot. Yep. I think his ceiling is a better throwing Cam Newton.
Sure.
Where that's the sort of athleticism he has, and he doesn't quite have that size, but he's that sort of athlete and thrower on the move and can make it happen with his legs. Mm-hmm. I think there's a chance that Justin Fields is a superstar.
Sure.
But your thing about the league catching up, I think, like, people talk about, the it factor,
yep.
and Dak has it.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to tell people it is not some mysterious thing. It's a tangible thing. We can find it.
Sure.
It is essentially drive, work ethic, curiosity about, okay, why don't I do this as well? What can I do? And year by year, you can see the things that Dak does. His throwing motion isn't the same as it was when he came in the league.
Right.
His footwork, his base is not the same as when he came in the league because he has it. And it is an obsession with being better all the time. Yep. And he has it. Now, there's a baseline of talent that has to come with it, or I don't care. But he has those things, and you know that. And I don't know that about these college quarterbacks.
Oh, boy, we got some callers, Jeff Cavanaugh. But we ain't going to be here too long. We're going to wrap this thing up soon because Jeff got to go read his book and play his Call of Duty. But I do want to hear what some of y'all got to say. Don't blow it. Set it off, Chris. What's happening, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Voch, man? Hey, good evening to you and Jeff.
Uh-huh.
I got the privilege to be a 22%er for Jeff.
Hey.
And you know how me and you get down.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but what ended up happening earlier today, I think I texted to you. Brandon, my right-hand man from Franklin football, he got on the PFN because Jeff had went on last night during halftime because he was so utterly disgusted. And Jeff got to quit getting so mad with it, man, because it's about Virgil, man. It's all about Virgil writing brick on my brick.
Jeff don't know what this means, man. Jeff don't know. You are talking. I know what you mean, but this is code for Jeff. Jeff don't. Look.
Oh no, hold on now.
Okay.
I know what it means. I have different words for it. I refer to it as team
tank. You gotta
tank.
watch it and just be to the point of saying, "Hey, I wanted to be competitive.
Uh-huh.
I want to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And I want them to lose.
Yeah.
I want them to lose.
Right.
But when he ended up doing a mock because Jeff did PFN last night. Like I said, I'm gonna get out your way.
Uh-huh.
And Brandon had turned around and got the Bears to give him. They swapped our four, and another pick, and got the entire Bears draft.
That ain't real.
I don't know how crazy that was.
Yeah.
I mean, how did he got the entire Bears draft? It was crazy. But every time he did the simulation at pick 100, he got Marvin. Every time he did it, Marvin was sitting there at 100.
Marvin Wilson at 100. Appreciate it. Set it off, Chris.
Marvin Wilson was at 100. No problem, buddy.
Yes, sir. So first of all, about these little draft apps, they cool, but that ain't how this works. That ain't how this works. Somebody will send me a mock draft, be like, "Yo, Voch, how you like this? I traded back 6 times, and I still got Surtain and Farley. In the second round, we got Quiddy Pay." No.
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
But and there's also a balance because, like, last year, I did tell people when I would run those simulations, every time that CeeDee Lamb was there, I was like, well, let me restart it. That's not going to happen. But there's a difference between that's not going to happen and there's no chance in hell that's going to happen. But it's interesting. I haven't watched Marvin Wilson yet. I'll do that this week. But it is interesting because if he's a nose tackle like you're talking about that doesn't have much pass rush, and you're talking about a 2-down player, that drops people down boards.
Sure.
I mean, if he's really good, not to 100, like you said, Dexter Lawrence went at 17, and he doesn't bring much as a pass rusher. He's more of a 2-down player. But I mean, we may find a fat boy we like that you could have somewhere around there.
We're going to take 2 more callers and wrap this show up. I just really want to know what these guys got to say because they always make some good points. Y'all don't let me down while we got company here, all right? Dallas. What's happening, Dallas?
Yeah, what's up, Voch?
Cool.
Unfortunately, you can't actually hear Jeff on the phone, but tell him it's a Tolo from Tampa.
Okay, he can hear you, though.
Yeah, but no, man. I find it interesting that Sunday might very well be the Penny Sewell Bowl.
Sure.
That's the that's the game.
Sure.
Well, honestly, I have been with Jeff for a few months now, where our best bet is to trade down, try to add assets, and if we can get like an extra second and future picks,
sure,
I'll take that. Whether it's I think a combination of linebacker, safety, and cornerback in the first 3 rounds is how I would go. Honestly, like if we can trade down, still get like Caleb Farley, and then get maybe Chaz Surratt, a linebacker I like out of North Carolina, who I would say you might enjoy watching.
Too soon for me.
Second to add to the linebacking core.
Too soon for me. I haven't seen him yet. But go ahead, quickly.
Have you seen the TCU safety? Because I know Dane Brugler is high on him, and I saw TCU their game this past Saturday, and he was around the ball constantly. So I'm very interested in him, Voch.
I haven't seen him yet. Appreciate you for the call, Dallas. But tune in next week. That's going to be the cornerback safety extravaganza show. That's when me and Jeff going to really dig into these guys. I feel bad, man, because I thought Dallas was going to hit me with some good stuff. All you did was praise Jeff up here. You ain't say nothing about Voch.
That is good stuff.
You ain't say nothing about Voch, man. I feel some kind of way.
I think that is a great point. I think everything he said was incredibly intelligent, well thought out, and he was a good man. That's what I heard.
I'm kidding, man. Shouts out to Dallas. Shouts out to Jeff. But yeah. Just if anybody got questions about cornerback and safety, just hold on to that till next week. Me and Jeff gonna grind on that. We got a lot of film to do on that. So just hang tight. We got one last call. Then Jeff gonna read and I'm gonna go to bed. AJ, the camera technology guy. I actually know these people, Jeff. So my bad. AJ, the camera technology guy. What's up, my dude?
Yeah, what's up? So I definitely don't want to keep you long because I know Jeff's getting antsy for his little pages reading his book and stuff. But I just wanted to drop you some stuff and just kind of see you guys run with it.
Quickly.
So just to do some mathematical stuff. So the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? So that means right through the middle of your defense. Okay. And that's honestly where we're the weakest right now.
Okay.
Like defensive tackle, middle linebacker, safety, like that's where we're getting gassed because we're not very good right there.
Right.
So I think that's the greatest need on our team is going to be right there in the core of the defense. And also I hear a lot of people talking about need and stuff, but I think I hear a lot of people talking about positional needs and stuff. Mm-hmm. But what I think, I think you can agree about this, the thing that the Cowboys need the most is to be able to stop the damn run.
Sure. So
what players help you stop the run so you can actually do that? And hey, if your best player is a receiver and stuff in the top of the draft, I'm not necessarily too mad about that because I can't remember when it was, but it was like back in 07, 08, I saw one team draft a player that they did not need. And then later on in the draft, they traded one of their veterans away for more picks.
Interesting. Appreciate it, AJ.
They got younger at the position. I can't remember who it was. Yeah.
Who was that? Do you know?
I can't remember.
Well, you can't say that. You can't say that and not know. AJ, you can't say that and not know. Come on.
The hell, AJ.
Thanks for the call, though, bro.
It's been a long time.
Let me real quick because I think that's really interesting because that's true, right? I think I forgot. Here, I'm going to say something without remembering or knowing. I forgot which game it was over the weekend, but one of the analysts, God, he was obsessed with talking about the middle triangle. It might have been Collinsworth, where he was talking about the 2 defensive tackles and the linebacker and how they basically count on those 3 guys to stop the run.
Yeah.
And like the geometry thing is really interesting because yes, the straight line, if you can't stop people from going in a straight line, you're in bad shape.
Sure.
But to me, the more important geometry, unless you totally can't stop the run, but the Cowboys are unique in their inability to stop the run. Mm-hmm. To me, it's even more valuable if I have a corner that can take away your best dude.
Sure.
I can change the geometry.
Yep.
Because now I can choose. Do I want to devote more guys to take away your other receivers, or do I want to devote an extra guy to tell you can't run the ball?
Jeff, Xavier Howard is leading the league in interceptions right now because teams refuse to throw to Byron Jones.
Which is crazy because Xavier's picking balls off. At some point, don't you throw it Byron? But that's it. Like Miami did what I would love to see a defense do. They went first-round pick with Noah Igbenogany, even though they had 2 highly paid dudes. They said what we're going to do is we're going to affect the geometry by knowing we can cover you, and I can put extra people down here. And whether I want them to rush the passer or stop the run, if I can cover your guys, well, I'm going to make your geometry real bad because the small part of the field, I'm putting an extra dude there.
Yep. Crazy, fam. Crazy, bro. Like, we should not have let Byron Jones go. But anyway, great call, AJ, the camera technology guy. Jeff, you good on the show? We good? We straight?
Oh, I'm good, but I mean, I know you like round numbers, so I'm just going to assume there's 25 seconds left and say to all the Tolos, make sure you're listening to 105.3 The Fan, home of the Cowboys and DFW. I'm trying to reach, for the station. I'm trying to reach everybody, and I'm encroaching on Voch's territory to do it, and he's been kind enough to let me. So I want to thank Voch. I want to thank the people. I want to thank the Tolos. I want to thank the people that called in, and now we've reached Voch's round number, and he can say goodbye.
Jeff's a good dude, man. He's an ally, so he's always welcome. So if you listen on my side, go check him out on his YouTube, Jeff Cavanaugh, on his Twitter machine, JC1053. And if y'all listen on his side, I'm Voch Lombardi, VOCHLOMBARDI. I do film sessions. Most of the people that we talked about today, I've done a film session on them on my Patreon already. So you can go over there and just put a little dial up there that's less than a bag of almond M&Ms or whatever, and you just got all these long form film sessions that we've done so far. We've done Marvin Wilson, Micah Parsons, Panay Sewell, Rashawn Slater, where I lost my mind. So go over there and check that out, man. You might find something you like. Y'all hold it down for the Doski Woski and the Peasky Whiskey is free, man. Until next time, right brick on my brick.